everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to Cheap Lazy Vegan and another video. Today is all about delicious and healthy recipes. These are some of my favorite recipes, some of my go-tos. So some of these you may have seen before because I just love these dishes. I will never get sick of them. I love them. They are easy, they're delicious, they are healthy. So I'm going to talk you through every single dish and I'm going to give you guys some different ideas for variations of the dishes so that you're not limited to just what I'm showing you here. So since it is the new year, I'm sure you guys have New Year's resolutions, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just a perfect human being. My New Year's resolution is to read one book a month. And to some people that might sound really easy, but to me it's difficult because I just don't have that much time. In order to help me and also potentially help you, I am partnering up with Skillshare in today's video. If you guys don't know, Skillshare is an online learning community for creators and anybody that wants to improve themselves, learn a new skill, or just take a course on something that they are interested in. So if you have any goals, if you have any skills that you want to learn, anything that you want to accomplish, Skillshare might be the perfect place to start. I took a few courses on productivity already, and I'm also implementing some of those things into my life so that I get more things done in a shorter period of time, so that I have more time to do other things like reading or chilling, watching movies, things like that. Today is your opportunity to try out Skillshare, guys. Premium membership normally costs $10 a month, but today, of course, we are giving away some free trials. So for the first 500 people to click the link down below, you will get access to 2 months of Skillshare absolutely free. And if you enjoy the free trial after that, it's only $10 a month to have access to all those courses. There are so many things that we can learn on Skillshare. So thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the recipes. Before we get started, the written recipes will be linked down below, so make sure you check those out if you are interested in making any of these dishes. First thing I'm gonna show you guys is vegan lasagna. You guys have seen this before on my channel, but this one is just a little bit more of a lazy version. I'm gonna link my other vegan lasagna video. Let's be honest, I think that one's a little bit better because it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more love, a little bit more effort. So I'm gonna link that down below. I think I made the sauce from scratch, but there's so many different things you could do with lasagna. This is just one way that I make a vegan lasagna. This one's like my lazy method. The key though is that tofu ricotta, which I never skip. I've made this tofu ricotta / tofu spread so many times. I've talked about this way too much, but I will continue to talk about it because it is amazing. You would be shocked at how delicious this is. The first thing I did was made the tofu cheese. I actually made this the night before so that I would just have this ready to go. So I'm first adding the extra firm tofu into a food processor. You can also use a high-speed blender. And I'm going to add some lemon juice, garlic powder, salt, some dry basil, and nutritional yeast. And then you can just blend that on high speed. And I like to blend it for a while until it's really, really nice and smooth, and it's almost like a cream cheese sort of consistency. It should be very, very smooth, and you can use this as a spread or whatever way you would like to use it because it's so delicious. So that was pretty much the hardest part of this lazy lasagna. Now we're gonna preheat the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm just going to assemble it because I'm just using really lazy methods today, okay? First, we're gonna take some store-bought pasta sauce. I'm using this entire jar. I'm just spreading that on the bottom. My pan is a bit smaller than a standard lasagna pan. I need to get a new one. This is not a proper dish for a lasagna, but it'll do. I'm using oven-ready lasagna noodles, so I can just stick those dry noodles straight in. I just always like to make sure that the dry noodles are always covered in sauce because I have had lasagna noodles come out dry or come out hard. So make sure if you are using oven-ready noodles, make sure that they are still like soaking in sauce, okay? Next, we are going to layer on that tofu cheese. Next, I'm going to add a few handfuls of baby spinach. I love adding baby spinach to lasagna simply because I just want to add some greens, and baby spinach is just super easy. I just take my hands, grab some spinach, and just throw it in. All right, let's add in another layer of the noodles, the lasagna noodles. Next layer, I'm actually going to add in some veggie crumble. This is store-bought veggie crumble, which is kind of like a vegan version of ground beef. I'm using the Eve's brand, and this is the Italian flavor. And I like to add this in whenever I'm feeling lazy and I just want to add in some additional layers into my lasagna. And another option that you could use is actually making a lentil kind of filling, which I like to do as well. I don't know if I've actually done a video where I show you guys a lentil filling, but if I haven't, I will put that on my to-do list. So like I said, we're gonna soak in some more sauce because we gotta make sure that the lasagna noodles are going to be cooked. If you're having a hard time spreading the tofu cheese, I just use a spatula and I just spread it individually onto each noodle, and then yeah, like that. Perfect. And then I just added that as a layer. And now we are ready for the final layer. I'm just going to add a nice generous layer of pasta sauce. That should bring us to the end of our pasta jar. I do like to make sure it is nice and saucy, especially at the top, because that's the part that could be dry if you don't pay attention. Okay, so now we can cover this up with aluminum foil, and we're gonna bake it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. After the 30 minutes is done, you want to remove the aluminum foil cover and you want to bake it uncovered for about 10 to 15 minutes. Now I'm adding some breadcrumbs at this point on top, and I don't really think they did much, so I mean I would probably just skip this step next time. But anyways, so yeah, another 10 to 15 minutes. And there you have it, guys, a super easy and lazy vegan lasagna recipe. It's super delicious, guys. I'm telling you, you need to try this out. And you can also make it a bit more complicated, a bit more tasty by adding in other layers as well. I would add in more vegetables if you want to. And I think I need to do another recipe video on the red split lentil one, because one time I made a lasagna with this red split lentils in tomato sauce layer, and it was so yummy. But this one is super good too. Seriously, it is delicious. This is pretty much like my go-to dish that I think of when I need to cook for a lot of people. If you're feeling super lazy but you still want some lasagna, you could also make lasagna soup. This is another go-to meal, guys. It's so simple, so easy. It gives you that similar feeling of eating a lasagna, but it's in a soup. So it's perfect for a cold day. You can also use up those little pieces that are broken that are left in the bottom of your lasagna box. I think I've made a couple of videos where I show you guys a lasagna soup recipe, so I'll link those down below if you guys are interested. Next thing is another one of my favorite things to eat, maybe not as much to make, but it's my favorite things to eat, which is sushi. I love sushi rolls. They are so good, they are so yummy, I love them so much. I could literally just eat sushi every single day. There are so many different things you could do with sushi. This time I decided to add some fresh veggies, like lots of fresh veggies, and they turned out a little bit fatter than I normally make them, so it was a little bit harder to roll. They did break apart a little bit, but still delicious. Make sure you use short grain rice for this. If you use long grain rice or anything other than short grain or sushi rice, it will break apart. But another option for you, if you don't have short grain rice, make a sushi bowl. You can always make your sushi in a bowl. This is a lazier version of sushi. Just put some rice in a bowl, add some veggies, rip up some nori sheets, and just basically add all the fillings into a bowl and just eat it like a deconstructed sushi, which I love doing that as well. You can customize whatever you want to put into your sushi. This is just what I added into my sushi. Alright, for the protein, I'm actually using tempeh. You can, of course, use something else. You can use pan-fried tofu. You could use smoked tofu, which is what I would recommend. And I would have originally liked to use smoked tofu, but I was out of smoked tofu, so I decided to use tempeh. Now, tempeh is definitely more of an acquired taste. I definitely did not like tempeh the first time I tried it, so be careful with tempeh. Try it out first and see if you like it. I have plain tempeh here, so I'm just going to marinate it with some store-bought teriyaki sauce. I did this the night before so that it would have time to soak up everything. You can also buy tempeh that is pre-flavored, so that's what I normally do. I just buy ones that are like maple bacon flavored or something like that, which are really yummy. But again, it's a bit of an acquired taste, so maybe you want to try it out first. Alright, so the tempeh was marinating in the fridge overnight, and now we're just going to pan fry. So we're just adding a little bit of oil onto a pan, and then I'm just going to add in the tempeh pieces. I just pan fry it for a few minutes on each side until it is nice and golden, and it's pretty much ready to eat. For the sushi rice, we are using short grain brown rice. I'm adding a little bit of coconut sugar because I didn't have white sugar, and I'm also adding in some rice vinegar. Now with this rice, you want to make sure you get short grain rice or sushi rice. Any other rice is going to fall apart, so you're going to end up with a messy sushi bowl, which is not bad either. But if you want to make a proper sushi roll, make sure you use short grain rice. You also want to make sure your rice is cooled down and that it is not too hot. So I used about 1 cup of brown rice for 1 nori sheet, and that worked out pretty well. So that is what I would recommend. And I'm just going to use this rice scooper thingy. I don't know what this is called. Rice spatula? I don't know. I'm just using that to spread the rice, make sure it's spread out evenly, kind of flatten it out. And I do like to leave a little space on one of the edges so that we could bind the sushi roll, make sure it all comes together. Now let's add the fillings. I wanted to make this a bit healthy and add lots of veggies, so I may have gone a little bit cray-cray. I'm adding some romaine lettuce, carrots, cucumber. Make sure everything is chopped into thin, long pieces, by the way. The tempeh pieces, which I cut vertically in half to make them a bit thinner. And we're also gonna add in some avocado as well. And let's roll this baby up. Like I mentioned, I went a little bit too crazy with the fillings, so I did have a bit of a hard time rolling this up. So maybe if you're new to making sushi, you want to go a little easy on the amount of fillings. I like to also wet the empty nori sheet edge with a little bit of water so that it all sticks together. And if you have one of these sushi roll things, these things help as well. So I'm just going to use that to make sure it's all come together. And then we're gonna cut it up carefully, and I like to make sure the knife is slightly wet. People say to use a wet cloth to wipe the knife after every cut. Make sure your knife is also sharp so that you're not gonna break your sushi that easily. And then we're gonna just sprinkle the top of the sushi with some sesame seeds. These are toasted sesame seeds. And there you have it, guys. That is the very delicious and healthy vegan sushi. Once again, if you are lazy to roll sushi, you could of course make this into just a simple sushi bowl, which would save you the hassle of rolling. So just literally make yourself a bowl with the same type of ingredients, and you have yourself a nice deconstructed sushi bowl. Next, I had to make a simple thing, guys. I know it's kind of basic, but this is just a go-to, you know? You just cannot go wrong with a hummus and veggie sandwich. Hummus and avocado, lots of veggies, whatever you like in a sandwich. You can also add in some pan-fried tofu, some smoked tofu. You could add in some tempeh as well. This is such a nice go-to, very simple way to eat lots of veggies and still have a delicious meal. Let's make ourselves a delicious hummus sandwich. I'm sure you guys know how to make a sandwich, but I'll show you anyway. So we're just gonna spread the hummus. I just have store-bought hummus. You can of course make your own hummus as well if you want to save money. And I've had some really yummy homemade hummus. I'm just too lazy to make my own hummus, so I'm just using store-bought, and I do like toasted bread, so I am spreading that on toasted bread. Next, I'm going to try to fill this with as many veggies as possible. So we're going to start with some romaine lettuce, some chopped carrots, cucumber, let's add some avocado pieces, yummy. And my absolute favorites, alfalfa sprouts. These are so yummy. I love alfalfa sprouts so much. And let's put that together. And there you have a big veggie and hummus sandwich. It's so delicious, honestly. It's such a good way to eat lots of veggies, and it's such a great lunch. Of course, you can make this into a wrap. You can put this into a bagel, an English muffin, whatever you want. But here is a classic hummus and veggie sandwich that is delicious and full of vegetables. And last but not least, guys, it would not be a cheap, lazy vegan video without tofu. No, I did use tofu in lasagna, but no, we got to do more tofu. Okay, this time I made a sweet chili tofu and veggie dish. So many variations with this. Switching up the sauce would be the most obvious variation, and another variation is that you don't have to coat the tofu. You could just buy extra firm tofu or firm tofu, I would recommend, and then just cook it up, pan fry it until it's nicely golden brown on the outside, and then toss it with the veggies and the sauce. So the coating of the tofu is optional. Here is the recipe. All right, my favorite thing in the world, tofu. For this, you can use either medium firm, or extra firm tofu. I am using medium firm because I wanted a softer consistency on the inside, but if you don't like the softer tofus, definitely opt for an extra firm or a firm. I just wiped out the excess water on the outside of the tofu, and then we're just going to cut up the tofu into kind of like small cubes, bite-sized cubes. If you don't know anything about cooking tofu and you want to learn some of the basics, I do have a video where I talk about tofu, so definitely check that out. I'll link that video down below. For this recipe, I'm creating a starchy coating by literally just dipping the tofu into a little bit of starch. I'm using potato starch, but you can use cornstarch if you'd like. I'm using just a small amount of starch. I don't want it too starchy, so I'm just adding a very small layer onto each piece of tofu. Now, this can be skipped. This just is going to create a nice crispy coating on the outside and make it very, very soft on the inside. So if that's not what you want, and if you just want some nice regular pan-fried tofu, then just do that instead. And not only that, of course, this step requires an extra step. So if you don't want to take this extra step, it'll be fine if you just pan-fry your tofu. I do recommend, if you are just pan-frying tofu without coating it, to use either firm or extra firm, because it will just make your life a bit easier. Yeah. Alright, I'm just going to add some oil onto a frying pan. I'm using a non-stick pan. We're going to add a bit of oil. Maybe this is about, 1 to 2 tablespoons. I'm using a bit more oil than I normally would to cook tofu just because I coated it in starch and I just don't want it to stick to the pan because that can be a big mess. And once your pan has heated up, I'm just going to add in the tofu pieces. Now, I don't want to make them touch, guys, because they will stick together because of the starch. So try to separate them as much as you can. It's okay if they touch a little bit. I pan fried it on medium-high heat for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, and it should turn nice and crispy and golden brown on the outside. So yummy. I'm just adding a little bit of salt onto the tofu pieces, although I'm not sure if that's necessary. I think you can just add salt to the final dish. So once the tofu is done, you want to set that aside onto a plate, and then on that same pan, I'm going to cook up the vegetables. So I'm just using broccoli and carrots, but of course you can use other vegetables as well. So it just takes a few minutes for the veggies to cook, and once the veggies have cooked, we can add the tofu back in, and then we are going to add a nice and delicious sweet chili sauce. The sweet chili sauce that I had was quite thick, so I decided to thin it out with a little bit of water, and then I threw it into this mixture. And at this point, my heat is completely off, and the pan is just working from the heat that's already there. So I've just completely turned off the heat, and I just added in the sauce, and then now I'm just tossing the sauce, making sure that everything is nice and coated and nice and saucy. You can find sweet chili sauce in your local Asian supermarket or the Asian section of your regular supermarket, or maybe even somewhere else. It's actually quite easy to find from my experience. So yeah, I hope you can find it. It's super delicious. I love it so much. But of course, you can use any other sauce of your choice. Teriyaki might go really well with this, or even a barbecue sauce, or whatever sauce you would like. This part is optional, but I'm just topping everything off with some chopped green onion for garnish. And there is that delicious sweet chili tofu recipe with veggies. It's so yummy. I hope you guys try this out. And of course, don't forget to check out the tofu video that I did that gives you more details on what you can do with tofu and different recipe ideas. Alright you guys, so that is it for my go-to favorite recipes. I really hope you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, of course, give this video a big thumbs up. And if you're new to this channel, I do tons of easy vegan recipes that are affordable. So if you are interested in that sort of thing, don't forget to subscribe. And once again, I would like to thank Skillshare for sponsoring today's video and supporting this channel. If you guys are interested in Skillshare, once again, don't forget to click that link down below and be one of the first 500 people so that you can get access to 2 months of Skillshare for free and you can learn something new. So that is pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.